This was the video that I was asking for. Everyone wants me to watch this.
The word narcissist is one that's thrown around so much that it's perhaps in danger of losing some of its meaning, which is understandable given if you were to take Merriam-Webster's primary definition of the word, an extremely self-centered person with an exaggerated sense of self-importance, you might wonder, in the age of social media, exactly how vain does someone have to be to warrant said vanity qualifying as extreme? The truth is, most people worry about the image they project and seek validation from others, to a point that many would not consider healthy, even if it's sadly become somewhat the norm. And while the practice of selectively displaying certain aspects of one's life in order to convey a misleadingly idealistic self may be depressingly typical and warrant the label narcissistic in its most casual sense, there is a significant difference between run-of-the-mill vanity and pathological narcissism. A person with—
Wait, maybe this isn't ableist. I thought this video was going to be ableist. But he's qualifying MPD as a separate thing other than like regular narcissism.
Narcissistic personality disorder has a need for admiration so chronic that it will impede the basic sense of empathy
even putting a trigger warning on
most
this,
people
dude.
from actually hurting those around them in their pursuit of ego gratification. And unfortunately, those that possess an unquenchable thirst for glory are prone to being attracted to precisely the sort of vocations society should want them furthest away from, namely, positions of leadership where they will have power and influence over as many people as possible. Depending on their level of talent, the highest position a narcissist may be able to rise to could be something as innocuous as a supervisor at a grocery store. Some may get a little further, like mid or upper level management in a corporate structure. But occasionally, the dangerous combination of a narcissistic personality and compelling charisma will result in such an individual securing a very significant position like high political office, or something even more sacred in the hearts of some, such as the leader of a congregation.
He landed public
Christianity is by any reasonable standard a cornerstone of United States culture. While numbers have
ableism, but make it sound educated? Yes! I knew there was gonna be some motherfucker in the chat, dude. Let's go, dude. Let's fucking go, dude. Fuck yes, dude.
Declined over the last several years. Today, roughly 70% of Americans still define as being a Christian of some sort of denomination. Some sort of denomination being the key qualifier for the subculture we'll be looking at momentarily. As with any religious group, someone self-defining as being an adherent is not much of an indicator as to how they observe the religion or with what level of fervor. Some self-defined Christians are so nominal that one might go as far as to describe them as Christian in name only, observing little if any of the religion's core tenets and paying absolutely no mind to their lack of adherence. Others will attend church every Sunday and make a sincere effort to consistently abide by the core teachings of their faith. And then there is a subset of modern Christians, whose numbers are difficult to measure by polling questions alone, who make their faith, more or less, the sole purpose of their life. Christians whose home life, schooling or career, and virtually all recreational activities are marked by—
I said owie because the Mountain Dew cap pulled one of my mustache hairs, okay?
a devotion to God and proselytizing of their faith. The 2006 documentary Jesus Camp provided an intimate window into a community of evangelical Christian youth who fall into this category, chronicling the lives of 3 children in particular as they attend the Pentecostal summer camp Kids on Fire School of Ministry. While the film billed itself as impartial, the vast majority of viewers would perceive the camp and its organizers in a negative light. That may be owed less to bias editing than to the fact that scenes of unambiguous indoctrination and overt politicization in presentations and activities designed for children are bound to be off-putting for virtually everyone outside that community, no matter how they're cut together.
Mind him, he just wants to take you, and he just wants to love on you, and he has special plans for you in your life, and he just wants you to be able to follow him with your whole heart.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Welcome.
One of the film's subjects, 12-year-old Levi O'Brien, aspires to be a preacher, and again his story...
Oh my God, what is that, bro? That's a sin right there. Letting your child have that kind of haircut is unironically a sin. Holy fucking shit, dude. What are you doing as a parent? That's a abject failure right there.
It can be a conflicting one to watch.
I really feel that we're a key generation. I really do. I really feel that this generation...
Okay, he's got a sick ass shirt though. Instead of Reese's Cups, how about Jesus Cups? Fuck yeah.
...is a key generation to Jesus coming back.
As you watch Levi work himself up into a rapture as he practices delivering a rousing sermon to a future crowd...
I've never seen Jesus Camp, by the way. This is my first time.
A part of you may be put off by the indoctrination that can be presumed to have planted the seeds of these ambitions. But at the same time, there is something inspiring about watching a child immersed in something they're passionate about as they envision conquering the future and achieving their life's dreams.
What?
So it's hard not to find yourself rooting for Levi, even when no...
What the fuck? It's like watching a ISIS child soldier and being like, there's something inspiring about seeing an ISIS child soldier. There's got to be something inspiring about a child soldier working his way up the ranks.
Knowing his ambitions do in all likelihood stem from unethical conditioning, which brings us to the real subject of this video's first half. Toward the end of the film, Levi gets the opportunity to attend a service at New Life Church in Colorado Springs, where he witnesses a sermon by the megachurch's pastor, Ted Haggard.
We've decided the Bible is the Word of God. We don't have to have a general assembly about what we believe. It's written in the Bible. All right? So we don't have to debate about what we should think about homosexual activity. It's written in the Bible.
I hate these people so much. They are the worst scumfuckers on this planet, dude. Literally, like, they prey on poor people, weak people. They sell them this notion of salvation. Fucked up.
I think I know what you did last night. The point I want to get across is you need to make sure in your home you have a few core beliefs. And we as Americans, those of you that are citizens of the United States, you need to make sure our nation has a core belief, and as we settle those philosophies correctly, then our freedom...
While the pious jeering of Haggard may be very unpleasant to virtually everyone outside the audience that it's intended for, there's no denying Haggard is supremely talented at delivering it, and predictably, Levi is enamored. And after the service, he gets the chance to meet the man who embodies everything he wants to be when he grows up. The exchange they have lasts for only a few minutes, yet it tells you an awful lot about Ted Haggard.
My name's Levi.
Hello, Levi. Ted Haggard. I'm senior pastor here.
You see, yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Yo, this kid stays drippy, dude. What the fuck is this? Yo, what is going on, dude? I want to find where he's buying his shit so I can buy it too. What the fuck? I can't focus on anything else, dude. My man's got that fucking Jesus drip, dude. God damn, holy Lord, wash down upon me so I can find these goddamn thrifts, dude. These thrift finds, dude. He's got a mosque on his chest.
Okay, you figured that out?
Yeah.
What's your name? Oh, it was a good sermon? Oh, you did some preaching?
Yeah, I preach.
What's your favorite subject?
My favorite subject, I like faith.
Faith.
That's my favorite.
Oh, oh yeah. Okay, good, dude. Oh, I'm a preacher. What's your favorite subject? Faith. Oh, I'm a preacher. What's your favorite subject? God. I like God, dude.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, I like faith.
So, do people like hearing you preach?
It seems everybody pays attention more, you know. This is preaching.
Is it your content or is it because you're a kid?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you'll know.
I guess it's
you'll know when you're
both.
30. I say,
Oh my God, this guy's a fucking asshole. He's just ripping them, dude. What? Hey, they only follow you because you're a child. You fucking stupid child.
Your cute kid thing until you're 30, and by then you'll have good content.
On a surface level, what Haggard just said
Get
could be
fucked, dude. Hey, what's up? This is what I think about you and Jesus. Fuck you, kid. I did not expect that. I thought these guys are like... I thought these guys are like always fucking smile talkers. You know what I mean? Like constantly and consistently being like... over the top nice and shit. Maybe I'm mistaking them for Mormons.
be taken as genuine career advice, but you probably don't need to be convinced that what you just witnessed was completely abnormal behavior that should be unsettling to virtually anyone. Haggard could have given the fairly generic encouragement to essentially keep going and left it at that. Yet stunningly, he felt the need to also insinuate to the 9-year-old boy looking up to him that no one is paying attention to his sermons for their substance. Of course, a mentally well-balanced person would never have the compulsion to say such a callous thing to a child, but you might wonder why even a pathological narcissist would, because after all, Levi is just that, a child. There is no way that Haggard actually regards him as any kind of competition or threat, but a narcissist does not need to feel as if someone may be able to one-up them before having the instinct to cut them down, nor do they necessarily do these sorts of things consciously. They will often reflexively denigrate others as a mechanism to further inflate their sense of being the most important person in the room, even when that position isn't in any kind of contention. A narcissist's need for validation can never be totally fulfilled. The top will never be quite high enough, and often the best way for them to elevate their egos further will be to put down those beneath them.
Is it your content or is it because you're a kid?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you'll know.
I guess
you'll know when you're
both.
30.
So who is...
I mean, technically he's 30 now. I wonder if Ted Haggard was right when he fucking said, "You'll know when you're fucking 30.
Ted Haggard? Or rather, who is it that he used to be? Born and raised in Yorktown, Indiana, Haggard had originally wanted to become a journalist. But when it came time to go to college, his born-again father offered...
Terrible profession, okay? That's how you know. That's a self-report, okay? No good person wants to become a journalist, boys.
to buy him a new Pontiac Le Mans if he agreed to attend the evangelical Oral Roberts University instead of studying journalism at a secular educational institute. This put Haggard at somewhat of a crossroads. On one hand, journalism was still his preferred career path.
I mean, I'm making fun of myself as well, and not just Ludwig, okay?
And Oral Roberts was unlikely to aid him as well in pursuing it as alternative colleges he had been accepted into. But on the other hand, he wanted the car.
I like that everybody's first thought was Ludwig, though.
And so Haggard hatched a plan that could both help him attain the fancy new vehicle and make his mark as an up-and-coming investigative reporter. He would attend Oral Roberts and use his time there to pen a tell-all book about life inside an evangelical college. However, sometime during his attendance, Haggard experienced an internal shift, and for whatever reason, whether it be his stated one of being called by...
Do your fans even like you? Do you guys like me? There you have your answer.
by the Holy Spirit or some other ulterior motive. Haggard decided that his true place in life was in the ministry, and there's no doubt he had a gift for it. He founded New Life Church in 1984, delivering sermons in the basement of his Colorado Springs home. From there, his following grew, and New Life began setting up places of worship in strip malls. And then eventually, by the early 90s, their congregation had grown so much that they were able to set up their own megachurch. In just 15 years, Haggard had gone from a born-again undergraduate to the leader of one of the most high-profile churches in the state of Colorado. But his influence in the evangelical community was not limited to the Centennial State.
Our special guest today is Pastor Ted Haggard. He is the president of the National Association of Evangelicals, 30 million members, the largest evangelical group in the United States of America.
My business is to try to accurately represent what evangelicals all over the United States are thinking and feeling.
Is America more spiritually minded today than it was 20 years ago?
Oh, yes. We have more Christian senators than ever before, more Christian congresspeople than ever before, more born-again people working in the executive branch of the White House than ever before any other administration in American history.
At the height of his career, Haggard certainly had a considerable amount of influence, at one point in time reportedly having weekly access to then-President George W. Bush for Monday.
Seems like a good way to run the most powerful country. I think.
Conference calls about evangelical concerns. Among those concerns was the issue of teaching intelligent design, essentially a rebranded form of creationism, in public school science classes. Haggard would have a very contentious exchange with famed evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins that broached this subject for Dawkins' 2006 Channel 4 documentary, The Root of All Evil. It's a back and forth that serves to illuminate Haggard's remarkable sense of self-confidence.
We fully embrace the scientific method as American evangelicals, and we think as time goes along, as we discover more and more facts, that we'll learn more and more about how God created the heavens and the earth.
The scientific method clearly demonstrates that the world is 4.5 billion years old. I mean, do you accept that?
Yeah, you know what you're doing is you are accepting some of the views that are accepted in some portions of the scientific community as fact, where in fact your grandchildren might listen to the tape of you saying that and laugh at you.
You want to bet?
Sometimes it's hard for a human being to study the ear or study the eye.
Why couldn't these motherfuckers just stay dunking on these dudes? And like, they had to turn around and become like gigantic white supremacist adjacent shitlords because of their like overwhelming anger and fear of Islam. Like, this was, even when it comes to like fucking debating mullahs and shit, you know what I mean? Like, I have no problem with like dunking on fundamentalists, but like, why? Like, why do they have to become just such fucking asshats, dude? Anyway.
And think that happened by accident.
I beg your pardon, did you say by accident?
Yeah.
What do you mean by accident?
That the eye just formed itself somehow.
And who says it did?
Well, some evolutionists say it.
Not a single one that I've ever met.
Really?
Really?
Oh.
You obviously know nothing about the subject of evolution.
Or maybe you haven't met the people I have.
Without getting...
Okay, that's so crazy. Like, what if you met a fucking evolutionist? Like, what if you met a scientist, apparently, that, like, agrees with your worldview? That literally does not mean anything. What the fuck, dude? Oh my lord.
Getting into the finer details of evolutionary biology, Haggard's point of contention is that complex structures such as the eye can't be explained by random mutations coupled with the gradual process of natural selection, somewhat of a hobby horse among creationists. This claim has zero clout in the scientific community. When Dawkins objects to Haggard's use of the word accident, he is not contending that there was any sort of deliberate plan behind the evolution of eyes, but rather that while genetic mutations are random, the ones that get passed on are not favoured by mere coincidence. An animal that has an ever so slightly better ability to detect changes in light and shadow than others will be more equipped to evade predators and therefore pass on their genes. Over the course of many, many generations, that process will result in a species developing more and more advanced visual capacities, and eventually, in some instances, result in a structure as complex as the human eye. In short, there is no difference in principle to the evolution of intricate features and rudimentary ones.
But you see, you do understand. You do understand that this issue right here of intellectual arrogance is the reason why people like you have a difficult problem with people of faith. I don't communicate an air of superiority over the people because I know so much more.
That's literally false. That's false humbleness, okay? That's false modesty. You absolutely do behave that way, you fucking asshole. And so does Richard Dawkins, by the way. Like, you're literally doing it while you're in the process of saying you don't do that, okay? Oh my God, dude.
And if you
I hate him so much.
And if you only knew the scientists I knew, then you would be great like me. Well, sir, there could be many things that you know well. There are other things that you don't know well. As you age, you'll find yourself wrong on some things, right on some other things. But please, in the process of it, don't be arrogant.
There are many.
The reason why he's tackling the fucking tone here is because, like, on the basis of having like a logical or rational debate about this issue in and of itself, like he's lost on. There's no amount of like evidence he can bring to the table beyond like anecdotes, right? About the way that the world was created. Like, he just has what his interpretation of the fucking religious text is versus, you know, the scientific consensus and like basically thousands of years of scientific communities and the culmination of their understanding of the world and how it developed. So like, of course, that's why he's like, well, even if you're wrong or I'm wrong, well, you know, you probably shouldn't be so arrogant about your point of view. And yes, Richard Dawkins is kind of a fucking clown ass, okay? I mean, he is. But you know, he's right to be a dickhead here, especially when talking against someone so delusional, who holds so much power. Holy fuck. Atheists are just as illogical as evangelicals, but at least they cite science.
People of all kinds of intelligence and personality types that subscribe to theories like young earth creationism for reasons of religious faith. What makes Haggard's encounter with Dawkins stand out is not the arguments he's making, vacuous as they may be, but rather the manner in which he is making them. Imagine standing across from one of the world's leading experts in a field, who also happens to be 15 years your senior, forcibly arguing with them over their area of expertise, and then capping it all off by insinuating that they are arrogant after telling them what lessons they will learn as they grow older. And of course, Haggard was interested in matters of public policy beyond inserting pseudoscience into taxpayer-funded classrooms. He did his part to rally the evangelical community around the re-election of President Bush in 2004, when one of Bush's main campaign tactics was to bolster religious turnout with ballot initiatives to enshrine bans on gay marriage in various state constitutions.
Here's something that's very important for everyone.
And here's the worst part about it, is that, like, if you're keeping to yourself and you believe in God, I mean, these guys go way beyond that and like are super predatory regardless. So even then, even if they're keeping to themselves, they're technically not. But like the consequences of like evangelizing and actually getting the government to do your bidding or to utilize your worldview by advocating for certain policy positions and legislative change that is going to be overall incredibly harmful to massive chunks of the American population is outright fucking disgusting. I don't give a shit if it's like I don't care if it's Islam at the heart of that. I don't care if it's fucking Christianity at the heart of that. It is incredibly fucked up. Incredibly fucked up. Al-Qaeda all the way.
Everybody to understand, if you believe anything, then some people feel bad about that. Like, if I believe Crest toothpaste is the best toothpaste, then the Pepsodent users and the Listerine toothpaste users and the different ones feel bad.
God damn, dude. Only seeing the world through the framework of capitalism between different, like, marketable brands is the only way to make an analogy.
About that. Because
the only difference is, like, if you thought that Crest toothpaste was better, and then you literally petitioned everyone around you to like literally hate people who could not change themselves from using like Listerine brand toothpaste, okay? That's just how they were born, okay? Because it's not the same fucking it's not a analogy because it's based on a faulty premise, such as like changing your sexuality is like changing your fucking toothpaste, and then literally turning around and then advocating the government to like start, you know, making Listerine toothpaste users cease to exist, okay, and make it as hard as possible to fucking exist for people who cannot help themselves and like have to fucking literally use Listerine.
I'm saying Crest is best. Well, we say that about moral issues. We say marriage is a heterosexual relationship between a man and a woman. We say moral purity is better than immorality. We say telling the truth is better than telling a lie. And every time we say anything, and we've got 1,500 pages of those things we say, the Bible, when you say anything like that, there's a group of people that are going to get nervous about that. So we do have a public relations problem. We always have. They killed Jesus, if you'll recall. And the church has...
Who killed Jesus? What's he say? Who's they?
Has always had this problem because we are the ones with the role to say there is a moral plumb line and we need to rise up to it. And that's also why secular people are so concerned when the church doesn't fulfill its own moral stand. Like if a pastor falls into corruption or becomes dishonest or greedy. It's heartbreaking because even secular people want godly people to be authentically godly.
In 2006, Haggard enthusiastically campaigned for another anti-gay marriage referendum, Amendment 43, that was on the ballot in Colorado. It was this move that proved to be the last straw for a 49-year-old personal trainer and former male prostitute named Mike Jones. On November 1st, just days away from the election, Jones came forward to the media and alleged that over the course of the last 3 years, he had had semi-regular, paid, methamphetamine-fueled sexual encounters with a man who went by the name Art. Jones had come to recognize that man as Ted Haggard on the news. Jones stated that he and Haggard had had sexual intercourse as recently as that August, and that he was making their sexual relationship public because he was angered by Haggard's hypocrisy in opposition to gay marriage, stating that he hoped the revelations would damage Amendment 43's chances at the ballot box. He also supplied supporting voicemails of the man going by Art but sounding strikingly like Ted, calling Young to request a supply of an unspecified product.
Hi Mike, this is Art. Hey, I was just calling to see if we could get any more, either a $100 or $200 supply. And I can pick it up really any time. I could get it tomorrow or we could wait until next week sometime.
Jones agreed to take a polygraph on the matter, and the results were a mixed bag. When answering questions pertaining to sex with Haggard, the test...
What? A polygraph? What the fuck? Wait, who? Why would... What?
Indicated deception, though the technician administrating the test believed those results could have been rendered as a result of Jones being severely fatigued at the time he took the test. Aside from any of those sorts of factors though, the fact is, there's really no such thing as a reliable lie detector test. The guilty pass and innocent fail polygraphs regularly, and although verbal and physical cues are interesting to analyze, sometimes the ultimate sign of dishonesty is not any one tangible thing, but rather just an undeniable sense that a person has guilt seeping through their pores. The clip that you'll soon see is about as stark an illustration of such an instance as has ever been caught on film. Shortly after Jones' polygraph test, Haggard was approached by a reporter from a local news station as he was leaving his driveway. He agreed to stop momentarily to answer some questions about the allegations, with his wife passenger side and his children seated in the back. The resulting 2.5-minute interview was absolutely catastrophic.
Dude, this is always... Yo, when you catch televangelists in a car, dude, or near a car, for some reason they go buck wild, dude. I don't know what it is. You guys remember that fucking... Was it Kenneth Copeland that just like straight up is a demon, dude? Obviously not as demon-like as running at top of the hour ad break right here. And then telling you, if you'd like to no longer see said fucking ads and you want an ad-free broadcasting experience, all you need to do is subscribe with $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime, okay? Or with an ad block or a VPN. God, dude, that was good. That was fucking... Woo! On fire, boys. I'm on fire. Jesus, hold me. God damn, I say, God dang. I say, God dang! Yeet, yeet! Here's a goddamn 1 minute ad break now. Boys, get those Twitch primes out. Here it is. Okbuddyhasan, doing this, you're better than rap music video hand signs? What? What, because I did like fake karate? Why you do this, lol?
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. I understand.
Have a job to do.
Sure.
So can you take a moment and step out of the vehicle and just talk to us for a minute?
Well, we can't get into much. We're a little late for an appointment.
Okay.
But as we talked the other night, we're so grateful that he failed the polygraph test this morning, and my accuser did. And we have gathered together this outside board of overseers, and they're going through the process of investigation and finding out what needs to be done to me. You know, I've put myself on an extended, what do we call it, suspension of my senior pastor's role. I resigned from the NAE because both of those roles are based on trust. And right now my trust is questionable.
Right. Well,
and
the man who's making the accusations, Mike Jones, did fail part of the polygraph. It showed deception about having any kind of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
He did not fail or did not directly address the aspect of any use of illegal drugs.
Yeah, and all
that's still a question that's out there.
All that's got to be processed through, and I'm sure they're going to do that.
And I know that Nicole asked you to deny, but I have to ask you again: have you used meth?
No, I have not.
Okay. And the voice expert that is in Denver that was hired by KUSA has matched now 18 of the words left on the voicemail message.
I did call him. I did call him.
And what did you call him about?
I called him to buy some meth, but I threw it away.
And who were you buying the meth
What? What? Ah! That was scary. That literally was scary, dude. That, like, it's like you don't expect him to say that. Am I the only one who got scared by that? I literally was not. I thought like something happened. I felt like something happened in his brain where like he accidentally had an aneurysm and like revealed the truth. That took a way different turn, dude.
And I'm sure they're going to do that.
And I know that Nicole asked you to deny, but I have to ask you again: have you used meth?
No, I have not.
Okay. And the voice expert that is in Denver that was hired by KUSA has matched now 18 of the words left on the voicemail message.
I did call him. I did call him.
And what did you call him about?
I called him to buy some meth, but I threw it away.
And who were you buying the meth for?
No, I was buying it for me, but I never used it.
In the voicemail, Haggard states,
Hi, Mike. This is Art. Hey, I was just calling to see if we could get any more, either $100 or $200 supply.
This obviously implies that he had bought methamphetamine from Young on at least one prior occasion. So for what Haggard is saying here to be true, you would have to allow that his conscience caused him to throw that supply away. Then his demons got the better of him again, leading him to contact Young seeking more meth.
This is called the confession technique. My man thought he was a Christian for a second. Okay, that's what he did. He's just like, he thought it was Sunday, and he was confessing his sins. That's what happened here.
Before having yet another change of heart and disposing of the drugs a second time.
Have you ever used meth before?
No, I have not.
Because Haggard's story of buying methamphetamine from a male prostitute only to immediately throw it away is so patently ridiculous, it's not really worth analysing minutiae that's less categorically damning than what's already on the surface. But just as a bonus, one dishonesty tell posited by body language analysis is incongruous shaking and nodding of the head. If someone says no, and then follows that up by nodding their head, that indicates the real answer is yes. The counter to this is that it could simply be read as the accused affirming their denial, because it has now been very well established that Haggard was absolutely lying about his drug use, and at very least significantly downplaying the extent of his relationship with Young. We can use the following seconds as supporting examples of the theory.
And I did not ever use it with him.
What? Why is he doing this? What the fuck is going on, dude? This dude could have literally gotten away with all of it. Like, absolutely zero people were expecting. I was not expecting this. I don't know about the story. I did not pre-watch. I don't know. I didn't pre-experience this. It is fucking wild, dude. This is wild. Okay, I have to pee so bad. I've been like holding it in because this shit is so compelling. Oh my fucking god.
Did you ever have sex with him?
No, I did not.
And at what point did you decide to throw away the meth?
Right after. I never kept it very long because it was wrong. I was tempted. I bought it, but I never used it.
And how did you know that he would sell it to you?
He told me about it. I went there for a massage. So, okay, we're late for our appointment, and so, but thank you for your work.
How did you find him to get a massage from him?
A referral.
From?
From the hotel I was staying at.
The hotel where?
I've stayed at a lot of hotels in Denver because I write in Denver. So, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Oh, my man's going on a fucking... Bro, he is literally trolling for cock in Denver. Like, that's what's going on. His wife is so butthurt right now. Oh, my God, dude. Oh, look at his wife. Oh, you can see from the back of her head that she's pissed, dude. This is wild. Like, what a wild sequence of words to string together, dude. He's literally like, I ride in Denver. Right is, I guess, code word for, you know, smoking on that pee-pee. And also meth, apparently, which is doubly wild. Oh, my God. His kids are in the fucking car. What is he doing?
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Not long after Haggard delivered what has to be one of the least convincing damage control statements ever committed to tape, Mike Young was interviewed via satellite by Rita Cosby on MSNBC for his response.
And joining me now live is Mike Jones. Mike, we just got those comments and you just heard them from Reverend Haggard. First, he says he bought meth from you one time, never used it with you, and threw it away. What do you say?
Well, that reminds me of, we have to go back to Clinton. I smoked, but I didn't inhale. It doesn't make sense at all. There's so many holes in his response.
God damn, dude. Blistering. Calling out, yo, Clinton, you can catch some of this too, bitch. He's literally like, bra-da-da-da-da. This is great. This is wonderful. Oh my God, I have to pee so bad. Fuck, I don't want to miss it.
I don't understand why he wants to make comments like that. It just doesn't make sense. I never sold him the meth. He contacted me 3 years ago as an escort. We got together about once a month for 3 years. I only found out who he was about 6 months ago. I had no idea who he was previously.
No, you said you never sold him the meth. How did he get the meth?
About a year after we were together, he asked me, what do I know about meth? And I said, I personally don't use it. I don't care for it, but I do have friends that like to use it. And he goes, well, I've always been curious about it. Do you think you could get me some? And I said, well, let me talk around and let me see what I can do for you. I was able to find someone to connect with him so he could obtain some. I never personally provided it to him.
And how often are you alleging that he was provided meth through this third party?
All I can tell you is he had some every time he visited me.
And did you physically see him do meth? He says he did not, that he, got it one time and threw it out. Did you physically see him do it?
I did.
So you're saying almost once a month, every 2 years, you saw him in front of you snorting meth?
Yes.
You know, Haggard says he also contacted you for a massage in a Denver hotel room, but he maintains it was just to get the drugs, that there was no sexual contact. What do you say about that reaction?
Well, that just doesn't make sense. Someone you just, first of all, I don't understand why he would say that he met me at a hotel room. He was trying to be so secretive. He would have never have appeared in public around me, ever. And so I never met him at a hotel room. He always came to my place. And as far as just a massage, hey, if that's what he wants to call it, you know, that's up to him.
How many times are you claiming that you met with Reverend Haggard at your place to have sex?
For roughly once a month for 3 years, so I would say over 30 times.
Do you have proof that he paid for sex?
I have no.
Wow. If that's what he wants to call it. My man. Whoo! That's wild. All over. Also, what the fuck, dude? Yo. Gays in Colorado back in like the fucking 90s and early 2000s were just doing meth already? That's crazy, dude. Is that like a Colorado thing? Like, I thought...
No proof that he
so inventive.
Paid me. I mean, I didn't film a transaction. I can only tell you that the last time he wanted to get together with me, he did send me an envelope that had 2 $100 bills in it. The interesting thing is he always went by the name Art, which I...
No, I know meth is like a pervasive problem in the gay community from like literal WeHo shit, right? I know that from WeHo stuff, but like I didn't know that like early 2000s Colorado, they were just popping off with meth like that. You know what I mean? Feel me? That's what I was like. Or not early 2000s, late 2000s, I guess.
I understand now, and I didn't know this. His middle name is Arthur, so now it kind of makes sense how he came up with the name Art.
Can you hold up the envelope?
I'm holding it up, and you can see Art in the corner over here.
We're going to zoom that in, so if you can hold that steady there, Mike.
Yeah. And you can, the postmark here is Colorado Springs.
When did you end your relationship?
Well, there was no emotions in this relationship at all. It was strictly business. And the last time strictly sex. And it ended in August.
And why did it end?
I don't know. He just stopped calling me. You have to understand, yesterday he was denying he even knew me. And then earlier this morning, he was admitting some of the allegations are true. The only reason he really came forward was he finally heard the voicemails, and it was his voice, and he had to admit it.
Why are you?
While it is true that an envelope postmarked from Colorado Springs and bearing the name Art, coupled with some voicemail, cannot be counted as categorical proof of Young's specific accusations, the point...
He literally could have gotten away with it, I think. He has so much clout that, like, if he didn't do a major self-report for fucking literally no reason, other than, I guess, God told him he can't lie because lying is a sin, you know, so he was just, like, thinking maybe I could do, like, 75% of the sin and then 25% if I admit it, then, you know, we can... I don't know how fucking God math works, okay? I don't know how these evangelicals operate. But, like, he just straight up couldn't... He could have got away without saying anything. He would have been fine.
The point he makes is a very good one. While he is able to produce some evidence to verify he and Haggard have absolutely been in regular contact, Haggard has nothing to back up his side of the story. And as Young also notes, Haggard has already been forced to walk back his initial claim to have not known Young at all, and he would continue to amend the extent of his transgressions.
You guys like that God math?
Haggard's most recent version is that he would indeed sometimes use methamphetamine to enhance masturbation to both gay and straight pornography, and that Young would masturbate him at the end of massages, which was also enhanced by the drug. But he's still adamant to this day that there was never penetrative intercourse. Whether or not that iteration of Haggard and Young's arrangement really is, finally, God's honest truth is, of course, completely irrelevant as far as Haggard's prospects of remaining a nationally respected leader of the evangelical movement are concerned. That much was effectively out the window, right from the word meth. After a period of administrative leave, Haggard was fired as a senior pastor at New Life Church on November 4th. He then went into several weeks of what was described as intensive counseling overseen by church leaders, and was famously pronounced completely heterosexual by Pastor Tim Ralph in February of 2000.
Dude, completely heterosexual. I love that. No, dude, completely heterosexual, dude.
2007. That clean bill of sexual orientation, however, was not enough for Haggard to step back into his role at New Life.
I know your hearts are broken today, but we're here to bring comfort, encouragement.
It says a lot that, like, Christians weren't even focusing on the meth accusation, which, by the way, it is a, like, addiction is a sickness, right? Like, it's a disease. It should be treated like that. But, like, you know they don't give a fuck about it. They don't see it from that point of view anyway. But, like, it does say a lot that he's, like, they're not even remotely considering the fucking meth shit. And they're like, it's the gay stuff. Focus on fixing the gay shit, okay?
And strength to you. Amen. Now I'd like to read you a letter from Pastor Ted. My dear New Life Church family, I am so sorry. I'm sorry for the disappointment, the betrayal, and the hurt. The fact is, I am guilty of sexual immorality, and I take responsibility for the entire problem. I am a deceiver and a liar.
Bro, people are fucking crying, dude. Oh, no. Our pastor got the gay. He got the gay virus. It's so devastating.
There's a part of my life that is so repulsive and dark that I've been warring against it all of my adult life. As a result, I did things that were contrary to everything I believe. Please forgive me. I am a sinner. I have fallen. I desperately need to be forgiven and healed. Signed, Ted Haggard.
Haggard negotiated a severance package with the church, which included the conditions that he leave the Colorado Springs area.
Are you fucking kidding me? He got a fucking golden parachute on top of this? Like he's a goddamn Goldman Sachs executive, dude? Dude, I hate this shit so much. Oh my fucking god, dude. It's so wild. Every part of this story is just insane.
And not resume work in the ministry. You might wonder what someone in their middle age who has only ever worked as a pastor would do if that vocation was suddenly taken off the table. That question is answered in Alexandra Pelosi's 2009 film, The Trials of Ted Haggard, wherein Pelosi chronicles Haggard's life in exile in Phoenix, Arizona. Watching Haggard putting on a brave face as he trudges through day after day of pursuing lackluster opportunities in a new life not a fraction as glorious as the one he threw away.
Bro, he all he needed to do was get jacked and get a dog, dude. Why didn't he just do that? What a dumbass, dude. If only he knew.
Is such a depressing viewing experience that it's hard not to feel some sympathy for the former pastor, even when knowing he brought it all on himself.
We're driving to the University of Phoenix. I'm going to interview for a job there to walk people through the online program for the University of Phoenix. And this is incredible because I'm 51 years old and I've never interviewed for a job in my life. I feel like a 19-year-old or a 16-year-old. And so it's kind of exciting because I put my tie on thinking, ooh, I'm going to a job interview. There's nobody else that's had my experience in motivating people and encouraging people to do what will improve their life like me.
Okay, so what are you worried they're going to ask you?
The touchy thing is going to be, why did you get fired from your last job? Or why did you quit, resign from your last job?
What are you going to say?
I'm going to say that I had a sexual relationship with someone other than my wife. And that was a conflict, of course, with church, and you can't.
You don't think they know that already?
No, this guy won't know it.
Either because the interviewer did wind up knowing who Haggard was, or for some other reason,
no, he knew.
He ultimately missed out on the university gig. His other pursuits of full-time employment were also futile, to the point where he was...
It's funny because, like, from the church point of view, like, he's a piece of shit because he had gay sex and did meth. From my point of view, obviously, I don't give a fuck about the gay sex or the meth. And I just think he's a piece of shit because he was a part of the televangelist church and has, like, caused numerous people to suffer as a consequence of his, like, words, his deeds, his actions, and the brainwashing that he engaged in routinely. It's like, it's literally not the gayness, dog. It's just like all the other stuff that you did.
Was eventually forced to rely on various commission-based sales roles.
What's been the worst financially for you since New Life? What's been the worst financial?
Well, we're just spiraling down. Just trying to find people that want to pay off their mortgages super fast.
And he cheated. Yeah, no, that's really fucked up too. But like, there is a little bit more leeway if you're like hiding. Like, it's still fucked up. But if you're like hiding your sexuality your entire fucking life, and then you start experimenting, even though you are married to a woman, and you start experimenting, recognizing that you're gay, and then like, you know, doing that, it's a little bit different, I think, like in that situation. Not for him, obviously, because he not only knew what the fuck he was doing, but also would literally like tell other people that it was wrong, and as a community leader actually got people to believe that it was wrong to be gay. So that's really fucked up. But you know,
It's the greatest program I've ever seen to help people pay off their houses, actually own them.
So how many door hangers have you hung?
Hundreds, maybe thousands.
And then how many calls have you gotten?
Not one. Hi, Philip. This is Ted, the health insurance guy. I'm available anytime.
This guy can't catch a break, bro. He's just like went from one scam to another.
I sell health insurance. It's commission sales. So if I don't make the sale, there's no income. It's the cost of half of a pizza. You're only paying $12 a month for it. Oh, no, I left you some pie the other night. Did you eat it? Yeah. Good. Was it good? Oh, yeah. By the way, you have a lovely wife. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
And when God began creating...
I know this Bible.
Oh, what do you know about it?
Yeah. It's the Living Bible. They put a lot of these out. This is a Jesus Movement Bible from the 70s.
Oh, really? So what's that mean? Good or bad?
It's very good. Yeah.
He's been on national TV, you know. I mean, it's, you know, he's just been on, so I recognize him. That's all. You don't get a celebrity here every day. So he...
Bro, these guys is just like, they don't give a fuck why he's famous for. It's like, his cloud is cloud, bro. Fuck it.
Let it shine for a while. Now, you have to take that for whatever it means, for a while. Mm-hmm. You know, that doesn't say 24 hours. Mm-mm. Well, it just shocked me. It took me, but I guess these things happen, you know. I just wanted to talk more about evangelicalism than I did insurance, I suppose, and that's not what he's here for.
Philip, when do you want me to call you?
I don't know. I can't do nothing this month. I can tell you that.
Do you want me to call you the next month?
I just can't afford it right now. I'm just literally not going to make the
Damn, dude, he just got fucking... Oh, no, dude. This dude just wanted a homie. He just wanted to debate, you know what I mean? He was just like, I wanted to talk about evangelicalism. Like, yeah. I'm not going to buy a health insurance, though. Fuck no, dude. What are you, crazy?
A constant theme of Pelosi's documentary is Haggard's somewhat robotic ability to force a sunny disposition, albeit a rather unconvincing one, as he faces one letdown after another. Though there are some moments in the film where his morale is sufficiently depleted to allow himself a moment of self-pity.
See, the reason I kept my personal struggle a secret is because I feared that my friends would reject me and abandon me and kick me out, and that the church would exile me and excommunicate me. And that happened and more.
While Haggard's correct prediction that his peers would unceremoniously throw him to the wolves should his secret life come to light may be sad, it also raises a question that might lead one to second-guess the instinct to feel sorry for him. If his opinion of his fellow churchmen was so low, how genuine was his evangelical devotion in the first place? Was Ted Haggard really a man of deep faith, who simply couldn't succeed in living a life that went against the tide of his natural orientation? Or was he just a cynical opportunist? someone who never really made a serious effort to practice what he preached, but instead used the role of a preacher to satisfy his thirst for adulation before engaging in hypocritical indulgences with total abandon when no one was looking. A man who put himself in a position where being exposed one day was all but inevitable, but managed to convince himself that he was invincible because he was foolish enough to buy his own hype. A man who now has to live a life of seemingly endless humiliation, made even worse by the knowledge of one taunting irony. While his sermons may have been fraudulent, his undoing may have been avoided if he had actually taken stock in them.
We shouldn't intentionally mislead people. We shouldn't appear to be one thing and actually be another. And if there's something that you're thinking of doing that you would want to keep secret, simply don't do it. If you need to go somewhere in the middle of the night and you want to keep it a secret and hope nobody ever knows, don't go there. On the front page of the newspaper, every single day, there's somebody's secret.
Comedian Bill Hicks once said, citing Mark Twain, that the last person who should be president is the one that wants it the most. The one who should be picked is the one who would be dragged, kicking and screaming, into the White House. It's a quip that perfectly captures the paradoxical nature of the Oval Office. The President of the United States is invested with an immense amount of power. They have the ability to affect the lives of millions of their fellow countrymen with the stroke of a pen, and to level entire nations with the pressing of several buttons. That being the case, the ideal, if not essential characteristics you should want to find in whoever holds the office, no matter their political ideology, should be those of modesty and even temperament. A person that has deeply held, genuine principles and a strong vision for the country's future, but at the same time is able to be pragmatic when called for, and surround themselves with learned experts that are willing to offer dissent when the need arises. But while there is no doubt that such people do exist, it's very difficult to imagine how anyone of this description would desire the position in the first place. To be a modest person with an even temperament would seem to necessitate not wanting to be the most powerful person in the world, let alone wanting it so much that you're willing to subject yourself to the soul-crushing grind that is a successful presidential campaign. The honor of being the leader of the free world is indeed the ultimate carrot for America's most chronic megalomaniacs to chase. To pursue it is to effectively demonstrate that you are not suited to it. Having said that, while the occupation of politician is rather poorly perceived in the eyes of the general public, virtually everyone would agree that some are better than others. And while the preamble to this video's second part may seem like the perfect setup for a dissection of the White House's current and outgoing occupant, as boorish and polarizing as he may be, one thing you can't say about him is that he is detestable for the typical reasons a politician is. If you were to draw a caricature of the quintessential, slick-haired, smooth-talking lawmaker who gives off the vibe that every word that leaves his mouth is calculated to please whoever happens to be in front of him at any given moment, you would not find yourself looking at a picture of Donald J. Trump. You would get someone bearing much more of a likeness to this man.
I may be an underdog in this campaign, running against two candidates with $200 million between them. But the real underdogs are the middle class and the voiceless in this country, losing ground while CEOs pocket million-dollar bonuses and corporate lobbyists get their way in Washington. ExxonMobil rakes in record profits, gets government handouts, and gas prices go through the roof. At the same time, 200,000 veterans, men and women who wore America's uniform, will sleep tonight under bridges and on graves. We cannot simply replace a bunch of corporate Republicans with a bunch of corporate Democrats. I've never taken a dime from Washington lobbyists or PACs. I know who the underdogs are in this fight. I know that the fight to save the middle class will be an epic battle, and I will never give up. We're going to take the fight to save the middle class all the way to the convention and the White House. We're going to look our children in the eye and tell them, we left you a better life than we had.
This is John Edwards. John Edwards ran unsuccessfully for president 2 times in 2004 and 2008, campaigning with a left-wing populist agenda, particularly in 2008, where his platform emphasized the need for a swift withdrawal of American troops from Iraq and an urgent need to correct wealth inequality between the mega-rich and America's working and middle class, positioning himself as a progressive alternative to other candidates he termed corporate Democrats. He ran on all of this despite the fact that he voted for the Iraq War as a senator, had just built an over 28,000 square foot house, was recently employed in an extremely lucrative deal by the New York hedge fund manager Fortress Investment Group, and was widely known to regularly pay $400 for haircuts. Though John Edwards has now become a footnote in the history of US politics, that is not due to the rank hypocrisy of his political positions. He was a serious contender for the presidency leading into the 2008 primaries, when his compromising voting history was a matter of public record. The immense wealth he had attained through his time as a star personal injury attorney before entering the Senate, and in the private sector after leaving it, was also no secret. Edwards' downfall, much like Haggard's, came down entirely to personal failings. Personal failings that were seemingly enabled by an unhealthy addiction to being fawned over. And while that's arguably a quality shared by most politicians, Edwards really is a special case. And the extent of his ladder climbing instincts, a mark that invariably accompanies a narcissistic personality, also makes Edwards stand apart from his peers. To illustrate that, before getting into the story of one of modern American politics' most sensational implosions, we're going to share a little-known anecdote that will hopefully give you a good idea of what makes John Edwards tick. In 2004, after Edwards ended his first bid for the Democratic presidential nomination, he began an aggressive campaign behind the scenes for the VP slot. John Kerry, the ultimate nominee, thought Edwards was impressive, but was unsure if the junior senator was his best choice for a running mate. During their first meeting, when Kerry was trying to get a better measure of the man, Edwards shared a story with Kerry about his eldest son, Wade, who had tragically died in a car accident in 1996 at the age of 16. The following is an approximation of what Edwards said.
John, I want to share something with you that I've never told anyone else in my life. After my dear Wade passed away, there was a moment I actually climbed onto the slab he was lying on in the funeral home. I held him close to me, and I promised him, right there, that I would do everything I could for the rest of my days to make life better for people, that I would devote the rest of my life to living up to his ideals of service.
Kerry walked away from that meeting feeling rather shell-shocked. Not because he was touched by that heart-wrenching story, but because he was disturbed by it. John Edwards had told him the same story, just about verbatim, a year or two earlier, complete with the prelude of having never shared it with anyone else. Despite that disquieting glimpse into Edwards' soul, Kerry ultimately did choose him as his running mate, and the ticket went on to lose narrowly against incumbent George W. Bush. From there, Edwards began planning for a 2008 campaign, more or less immediately. And it's the campaigning, according to many within Edwards' sphere, that turned him into the self-obsessed phony you'll be getting to know over the course of the next half hour. Those who worked with Edwards from his political beginnings say the friendly, down-to-earth personality that Edwards always laid on thick when glad-handing with members of the public and speaking with the media was actually nothing but genuine when he started out. When he first campaigned for the US Senate in 1998, one thing that struck aides about Edwards was how disarmingly personable he was. He thrived on working small rooms and dealing one-on-one with voters. When he would walk off stage from a rally and his handlers asked how he thought it went, he would often roll his eyes and say in a rather self-effacing manner,
"Oh, they love me."
Then in the following years, as he came to be regarded as a rising star in the Democratic Party, those around him started to notice an unmistakable shift in his personality. He began complaining about being scheduled for smaller gatherings, clearly viewing them as a waste of his time. Now he lived for delivering stump speeches to a sea of cheering admirers. And when he was done, he would rush off stage in a state of euphoria and exclaim to his staff in total earnesty,
"They love me!"
One especially dangerous thing for politicians that are taken over by what some in Edwards' camp came to refer to as an ego monster is they're liable to begin shutting themselves off from much needed criticism, whereas a successful politician needs to be able to take on and adjust to constructive criticism from experienced advisors. A narcissist is very averse to anything short of flattery. And it is that quality that made Edwards so vulnerable to the not-so-subtle advances of a woman by the name of Rielle Hunter. In 2006, Edwards was having a drink with a donor and one of his aides, Josh Brumberger, at the Regency Hotel in Manhattan when the group were approached by Hunter. The 42-year-old, attractive if not somewhat daffy-looking blonde, was not exactly modest in the way she introduced herself to the table. She told them she had come over because her friends had told her that this was John Edwards, but she couldn't believe that. He was far too handsome to be John Edwards. Brumberger confirmed Edwards' identity, but politely dismissed Hunter, telling her they were in the middle of something, and she apologized and excused herself. A little later that evening, however, Brumberger spotted Hunter cornering her boss at the hotel again. He ran interference again to break things up, and Edwards seemed thankful at the time, but as it turned out, he wasn't at all averse to the not-so-subtle adoration of Rielle Hunter. He had taken her business card, which read, "Being is free, Rielle Hunter, Truth Seeker." And it would soon become apparent that he did not do so just out of politeness. A few months after their encounter at the Regency, Edwards began pushing for his campaign to hire Hunter as an embedded documentarian who would travel with him to produce a web series that would show the world the real John Edwards.
I've come to the personal conclusion that I actually want the country to see who I am, who I really am. But I don't know what the result of that will be. But for me personally, I'd rather be successful or unsuccessful based on who I really am, not based on some plastic Ken doll that you put up in front of audiences. That's not me, you know? And if any of these guys aren't nice to you, you tell me.
When you look into a mirror, do you like what's looking at you? Now that you've seen your true reflection, what on earth?
Oh man, oh brother. A lot going on this one. Okay. All the way to fucking webisodes. Sorry, I had to fucking flip my chickies. Okay. Can't be trusting journalists on the plane, you know? There's so much I want to say, from the accents all the way to like Donald Trump is not the average politician. Yeah, okay, because he doesn't suck up to fucking big interest in the same way or use that kind of language, but he absolutely is a demagogue, and unironically the exact same way that these guys are. All the way, I don't even know where the fuck to go. There's a lot.
How you gonna do?
I wrote my speech out, by the way. That's my speech.
Oh my goodness.
It's a great speech.
Can you read it?
Yes, I can read it.
You can?
Yes. Moral issues facing our country. And I want to see our party lead on the great moral issues. Yes, me, a Democrat using that word. The great moral issues that face our country. For my money, you're looking for a role model and you're looking for a hero. You walk in any classroom in America and look at the man or woman in front of that classroom teaching those kids. They are so important. God bless you all. Thank you for having me. It's an honor and privilege to be here with you. Thank you. That is a great speech.
I'm so glad you like it.
I like it. Wait till you hear me give it live. I think it helps, though, that you guys are filming all the time. You know, instead of just when I'm standing in front of a big crowd speaking. That's why this, I absolutely believe, has the potential of changing the way people do this in a very good way. In a very good way.
Find some inspiration. It's down deep inside of you.
His enthusiasm for the project was perplexing to those around him, given Hunter had little if any filmmaking experience, and her contract ran up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. But he was insistent, and Riel Hunter was soon by Edward's side, as much as just about any of his key advisors, despite not really seeming to do much of anything. The arrangement was sufficiently strange for it to raise a question in everyone's mind that was both obvious and extremely difficult to ask. Is he fucking her? The answer, of course, was yes, and most likely with some regularity, because we now know they became comfortable enough with each other to film their intercourse on at least one occasion, though thankfully the footage has never found its way into the public domain. John Edwards is not the first politician to get caught having an affair, and infidelity scandals have proven to be the type of thing that some are able to recover from. There are a few reasons why this particular one came to destroy Edwards' future prospects in public life irreversibly. One is the sheer scale of the trashy tabloid details that will continue to unfold momentarily, but arguably the most significant factor was simply the woman he was cheating on.
Hi everyone, if the 3 worst words you can hear are, "you have cancer," the 4 worst are, "your cancer is back." This week, Elizabeth Edwards heard those words, and today she and her husband, presidential candidate John Edwards, went public. Her breast cancer, first diagnosed 3 years ago, has come back. It's stage 4, which means it's spread, in her case, to her bones. The American Cancer Society says 1 in 4 people with stage 4 breast cancer survive 5 years or more. When the Edwards appeared before cameras to talk about the challenges they face, you couldn't help but be moved by their grace and optimism. Elizabeth, first and foremost, how are you feeling?
Actually, I feel fine. I mean, except for a cracked rib that is completely unrelated to any of the more serious issues I face, I feel terrific. I'm actually hoping that's one of the things that this discussion will fix, that people will see that, that you're not necessarily dying of cancer, but that you can also live with cancer, and that and you can live full lives, concentrate on the things that matter to you. We're all going to die, and I pretty much know what I'm going to die of now. But I do want to live as full and normal a life as I can from this point on.
Have you received any additional information in the last couple of days about where the cancer might have spread?
So, this is for American politicians of prominence, the same energy as like a Florida politician getting a DUI, like cheating on their wives with like cancer or like a significant disability. You know, this is what John McCain did too. I mean, who doesn't cheat on their fucking spouse with an illness? Just saying, this is like part of the, I guess, part of the energy that gives you the confidence to run for politics to begin with.
Other than this area of your rib?
You know, we were on a real roller coaster, the two of us, on Wednesday.
Tell me about that roller coaster.
Well, we went to the hospital, and it became pretty clear to me that there were at least 2 or 3 suspicious places on the bone scan. Elizabeth looked at it, saw exactly the same thing. So both of us were worried before we even had the doctor interpret the bone scan. And then the doctor came in and confirmed what both of us already thought, which is that it looked like metastatic disease, and it looked like that the cancer was back.
Tell me what went through your mind when you looked at that bone scan.
Pain, hurt. I mean, for me, I was very worried about the woman I loved more than anything. I was pacing back and forth in the
Bro, she's looking at him like, I don't believe you.
room where the bone scan was being done, trying to look at it from every angle and see if it
went away some way.
Yeah, I wanted it to go away. It didn't go away.
Cheating on your wife while she's stricken with cancer is obviously bad enough within itself, but on top of being unconscionably cruel and selfish, Edwards was also guilty of being an ingrate. Elizabeth had always been one of his biggest political assets, even before her national admiration was heightened after she used her initial diagnosis of breast cancer in 2004 as an opportunity to become a vocal advocate for healthcare reform. A very helpful thing Elizabeth Edwards brought to the table when her husband started running for public office was her appearance, namely her relative homeliness in comparison to John. A funny thing about good looks is while it's broadly accepted they can get you ahead in life, there are some contexts in which they can be a hindrance. When it comes to running for political office, being tall and handsome probably won't prove to be burdensome. But being a pretty boy, however, could cause some problems, and Elizabeth's presence often served to offset such problems. The 2010 tell-all book Game Change includes a small anecdote which summarizes this effect in about as blunt a manner as one could ask for. A member of a focus group that was being gauged on their reactions to John Edwards during his '98 Senate run was responding very coolly toward him, but began to soften up upon seeing Elizabeth. "I like that he's got a fat wife," they said. The fact that Elizabeth Edwards gave her husband an image boost, in part because many people saw her as notably less attractive than him, is of course a sad reflection of the general public's superficial values. But reality is what it is, and the revelation that he was in fact having an affair with a blonde socialite 11 years his junior would have caused a
I'm a real American, brother. Look at me and my fat wife. Hey, he's got a fat wife like I do, brother. He's just like me. She's not even fat, by the way, which is like ridiculous, but
irreparable harm to his image, even if it weren't for his wife's cancer. And yet in the beginning, John Edwards did shockingly little to conceal the affair. He would insist on booking Hunter on flights with him, even for trips that entailed nothing but meetings they would have no need to film. And for her part, Rielle Hunter also did little if anything to avoid raising red flags. She would heap praise upon John Edwards to a point that was beyond parody, telling him he could be a leader on the level of Gandhi or Martin Luther King. And of course, Edwards hung on every word of it. His staff, understandably, became very concerned about the relationship, and several of his closest advisors began begging him to cut Hunter loose from the campaign, but he was adamant that nothing untoward was going on and she was a valuable asset. Edwards was eventually convinced to let his embedded documentarian go by his closest advisor, Elizabeth. Elizabeth Edwards had been largely absent from the campaign during the time since Rielle Hunter had come on board, spending much of that period promoting her best-selling memoir, Saving Graces. But when she first laid eyes on Hunter and her interactions with her husband, it was as obvious to her as anyone else what was going on. John Edwards allegedly admitted to his wife that he had slept with Hunter, but only as a single one-night stand.
he should have said, he should have foolproof. He should have went with a foolproof defensive. Well, I mean, she was filming everything, you know? That's why we had to film it. For the web series on YouTube.
He apologized for his infidelity and promised to cut off all ties with Hunter immediately. But as had become custom at this point, he was lying. Edwards continued the affair while going to astonishing and morally appalling lengths to conceal it. He bestowed one of his closest aides, Andrew Young, with the responsibility of making travel arrangements and hotel reservations for Hunter. Young would make all of the bookings under his own name, so as not to alert Elizabeth Edwards when she was going over campaign financials. He often had to use his own credit card, and also fronted up cash for Edwards to pass on to Hunter, with Edwards promising to make Young whole when a large donation from one of his most wealthy supporters came through. Edwards and Hunter stayed in constant communication via cell phones they bought especially for the affair, and the constantly put upon Andrew Young was tasked with...
What is going on with that hair, dude? He's got like the Twitch streamer head dent, but it's just like balding. I don't know what the fuck's happening there, dude.
Catering to Hunter's every need. One day, when Young was desperately trying to get some respite from the incredibly draining and depressingly sleazy job that his longtime boss had burdened him with, he began receiving multiple calls from Hunter which he tried to ignore. When a fourth came through within a span of 1 hour, Young gave up and furiously answered her call, yelling down the line that someone better be dying or pregnant. Rielle Hunter's voice came back, sobbingly reassuring him that no one was dying. When Edwards received the news, it came as the ultimate blow that finally brought home the gravity of his misdeeds and their consequences. After a long night of hard talks with himself, he came to grips with the fact that the only reasonable next steps for him to take would be to come clean with his wife, children, and the nation, and take full ownership of his profound personal failings. It would be painful and an absolutely humiliating way to exit the race, but it was his only chance to begin piecing back together a shred of the reputation he once held as a morally decent human being in the hearts of his peers. There was no telling if Elizabeth would forgive him, and God knows she had every right not to, but she deserved to know the whole truth, and better late than never. And above all else, he could not allow an innocent to enter this world shrouded in secrecy and shame on his account. Being conceived as the result of adultery is a hard enough thing for a child to come to terms with, but that much was out of his control now. What was in his control was to not make that emotional burden worse by denying his child. He had created a horrible situation that was going to bring much pain to many people, and it was entirely the result of—
No, you fucking annoying cringe lords. We're not going to watch anything about John McAfee today. Oh my god, I don't give a fuck, okay? I already talked about it. Jesus Christ, dude.
Of getting swept up in his own ego, refusing to let what was best for those around him get in the way of his own shallow pleasures. But now it was time to begin turning things back around, by at long last doing what was hard, but what was honorable. Just kidding. John Edwards' reaction to Rielle Hunter's pregnancy was about as wretched as one could imagine. He flew into a rage when Young gave him the news, and raised doubts that the child was his on account of Hunter's promiscuity. Regardless of paternity, he asked Young to try and convince Hunter to have an abortion. Those talks were unsuccessful, and to make matters much worse for Edwards, some members of the press were starting to catch wind of the affair, though sparingly, very lowly ones. Sometime before Hunter's pregnancy, the National Enquirer had run a story alleging Edwards' affair with an unnamed mistress. Because of the publication's history of frequently reporting unsubstantiated, sensational gossip, the Edwards campaign were able to successfully dismiss the story as baseless slander from a supermarket tabloid. But the Enquirer's reporters were beginning—
Sometimes they hit it right, dude. Hillary, 6 months to live, brother.
To get increasingly hot on the trail, to the point they were starting to make appearances outside Rielle Hunter's house. This development frightened Edwards enough to lean on Andrew Young even more, and he convinced the 41-year-old aide, with a wife and 3 children of his own, to give Hunter shelter in his house. That maneuver was still not enough to throw the Enquirer, however. They managed to snap a few shots of the now heavily pregnant Rielle Hunter, as she was running errands not far from Edwards' house, just a few weeks away from the Iowa caucuses that would kick off the race for the Democratic nomination.
I mean, he shouldn't be having her around regardless, right? Like, she's pregnant. Why is she on the fucking campaign? You know what I'm saying? Like, the fuck are you doing?
In earnest. That led Edwards to take his cover-up to a whole new level. He told Young he wanted him to issue a statement saying that he was the father of Hunter's baby, and then fly his family along with Hunter to a remote location where they would all hide out until the election was over, at which point President-elect John Edwards would be able to compensate them for all their trouble. You might be thinking that the insanity of this proposal would finally be enough to make Andrew Young walk away, or even if not, at least be an impossible sell for his wife. But ultimately, Andrew and Sherry Young—
By the way, this is a story about how fucking demon political operatives are as well. She's pregnant, not disabled? Wait, what do you mean?
came to conclude that at this point they were in too deep, and their best course of action was to continue to go along with Edwards' increasingly convoluted schemes. Hunter and the Youngs hid out as instructed, while Edwards went on campaigning for president. After building his campaign for much longer than his two closest rivals, his bid turned out to be remarkably lackluster, and he dropped out of the race on the 26th of January, following an embarrassing third-place finish in his birth state of South Carolina.
It's time for me to step aside so that history can blaze its path. We do not know who will take the final steps to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, but what we do know is that our Democratic Party will make history.
But even after that, he would not give the Youngs permission to return home, and wanted them to continue monitoring Hunter until she gave birth. That day came on February 27th, with Hunter delivering a baby girl, Frances Quinn. At that point, Edwards gave the Youngs the all-clear to sever themselves from Hunter, but not before asking Andrew Young about the possibility of swiping one of Quinn's diapers for a DNA test, and even inquiring into the feasibility of forging a paternity test if they did not get the results that Edwards was hoping for. Evidently, neither of those ideas were ever actioned. From that point, Edwards continued to pay for Hunter's accommodation, attempting to keep her under wraps. But of course, this is the sort of thing that is very difficult to keep a secret forever. And while Edwards managed to keep his personal situation from reaching the pages of the mainstream press for a relatively impressive stretch, one Monday evening, things finally began to become undone. On July 21st of 2008, Edwards walked into the Beverly Hills Hilton Hotel and then proceeded to enter a room occupied by Rielle Hunter and his infant daughter Quinn. Later, in the early morning of July 22nd, he left the room and was confronted by reporters from the National Enquirer, who asked him if he was there to see his love child. A panicked Edwards then fled to the men's room, where he hid in a bathroom stall as the reporters continued to harangue him for a period of time, before a security guard arrived and escorted Edwards, who is now white as a ghost according to the guard's account, away from the hotel. That episode was dramatic enough that now some mainstream outlets were forced to take the Edwards affair and out-of-wedlock baby story seriously.
That was my birthday.
But even at that point, initially, Edwards still attempted to issue blanket denials. But then, yet another damning piece of the puzzle emerged. Somehow, the Enquirer had managed to snap pictures of Edwards in the room holding
literally fucking demons too. Everyone in the story is just awful.
Quinn. After that, finally Edwards decided that it was time to grant an interview on the matter.
My birthday is on 25th of July.
Did you have an affair with Miss Hunter?
Well, can I say first thank you, Bob, for coming and honoring the request and giving me a chance to talk. In 2006, 2 years ago, I made a very serious mistake. A mistake that I am responsible for and no one else. I, in 2006, told Elizabeth about the mistake, asked her for her forgiveness, asked God for his forgiveness, and we have kept this within our family since that time. All of my family knows about this.
Damn, dude. That kind of rhetoric, my man's gonna be fucking done and not just on twitch.tv, if you know what I'm saying.
And just to be absolutely clear, none of them are responsible for it.
Is this affair completely over?
Oh yes, it's been over for a long time.
How long did it last and when exactly did it end?
Well, here's how I feel about this, Bob. I think that my family is entitled to every detail. They've been told every detail. Elizabeth knows absolutely everything. I think that's where it stops in terms of the public, because I think everything else is within my family, and those privacy boundaries ought to be respected.
I know this is a very difficult question, but were you in love with her?
I'm in love with one woman. I've been in love with one woman for 31 years. And she is the finest.
And her name is God.
Human being I have ever known. And the fact that she is with me after this having happened is a testament to the kind of woman and kind of human being she is. There is a deep and abiding love that exists between Elizabeth and myself. It's always been there. In my judgment, has never gone away.
She's had enormous sympathy because she's also going through cancer.
Yes.
How could you have done this?
Can I explain to you what happened? First of all, it happened during...
Dude, the casual nature in which you answer that question is automatically going to make so many human beings just retaliate. You know what I mean? When you hear like a question that powerful, like how could you cheat on your wife who's like stage 4 breast cancer, like literally about to die? He goes, oh, well, let me explain. Like, that's crazy. That's not happening, dude. That's not happening. No one's getting away with that after that. You know what I mean? Just like I'm not getting away with this top of the hour ad break. Where I will run a 1-minute ad at the top of the hour. But you can avoid those ads with Twitch Prime for free, or with a $5 subscription, or with an ad block or a VPN. But here's the 1-minute ad now. No, you did not see that coming. That was good. That was fucking good. Shut up.
During a period after she was in remission from cancer. There's no excuse in any possible way for what happened.
This raises the question, If it's no excuse, why bother bringing it up? A common trait of damage control interviews is they're seldom for the sole purpose of coming clean. While Edwards is right that cheating on your spouse while they're in remission from cancer is already terrible, he's also aware that doing so while they're actively fighting it is so dastardly as to be absolutely irredeemable, and so he's compelled to make the qualification, which causes even him to wince as soon as the words pass his lips. This is all about managing his image as best he can, not taking ownership. And of course, he's still lying. His affair with Hunter continued well after Elizabeth's cancer came back.
This is what happened. I grew up as a small town boy in North Carolina. You know, came from nothing.
Wow. The small town boy defense, dude. I just wanted a crumb of pussy, sir. I had nothing, and now I have things, and I wanted just a crumb of coochie.
Worked very hard, dreamed that I'd be able to do something hopeful and helpful to other people with my life. I became a lawyer. Through a lot of work and success, I got some acclaim as a lawyer. People were telling me, oh, he's such a great person, such a great lawyer, such a talent. You're going to go, no telling what you'll do. And this was when I was 30, 31 years old. Then I went from being a young senator to being considered for vice president, running for president, being a vice presidential candidate, and becoming a national public figure. All of which fed a self-focus, an egotism, a narcissism that leads you to believe that you can do whatever you want. You're invincible.
What the
fuck? And there will be no consequences.
So you're
nothing could be further from the truth.
And credit where it's due. Edwards demonstrates a remarkable level of self-awareness and inward reflection in this moment. With most scandals of this nature,
I literally was about to say, like, God damn, that's actually a pretty solid, like, admission and subsequent apology. And then he just, like, literally flipped it on the end to be like, yeah, but that's not me at all. Like, I thought this is the difference between someone with, like, a diagnosed narcissistic personality disorder who's working on it versus someone with MPD who says, actually, sweaty, you're literally being ableist by not letting me behave this way.
the subject will issue generic explanations. It was a moment of weakness, for instance. Edwards actually demonstrates a real level of depth in acknowledging the specific nature of what was behind his moral decay, that he let his achievements go to his own head. It's not an easy thing for someone to...
He did not say that? Wait, no, I thought he was going to, in the end, not flip it and be like, and that could not be further from the truth for me. No, I understood what he was saying. What, did I misunderstand that? No, he literally fucking revealed all of his, like, flaws.
Were you in love with her?
I'm in love with one woman. A possible way for what happened.
This raises the question, if it's no excuse...
I grew up as a small town boy in North Carolina. You know, came from nothing, worked very hard, dreamed that I'd be able to do something hopeful and helpful to other people with my life. I became a lawyer. Through a lot of work and success, I got some acclaim as a lawyer.
Oh, he's saying there couldn't be, that couldn't be further from the truth as far as the consequences. Okay, it's still narcissistic as fuck to just say like, oh no, there were consequences. Instead of being like, this was the reason why I was delusional and behaving in the way that I was. There's no excuse for it, but if you want to know what the reason is, that's the reason.
People were telling me, oh,
I misunderstood.
Oh, he's such a great person, such a great lawyer, such a talent. You're going to go, no telling what you'll do. And this was when I was 30, 31 years old. Then I went from being a young senator to being considered for vice president, running for president, being a vice presidential candidate, and becoming a national public figure. All of which fed a self-focus, an egotism, a narcissism that leads you to believe that you can do whatever you want. You're invincible. And there will be no consequences.
So you're
nothing could be further from the truth.
And credit where it's due. Edwards demonstrates a remarkable level of self-awareness and inward reflection in this moment. With most scandals of this nature, the subject will issue generic explanations. It was a moment of weakness, for instance. Edwards actually demonstrates a real level of depth in acknowledging the specific nature of what was behind his moral decay, that he let his achievements go to his own head. It's not an easy thing for someone to come to terms with, and shows that perhaps he really does have enough decency left in him to attain the kind of redemption where he could be viewed in a light that isn't completely contemptible.
And that picture is absolutely you, and you are holding that baby.
The picture in the tabloid?
Yes.
I have no idea what that picture is.
But you've seen that picture, right?
I did see it, and I cannot make any sense out of it.
Well, at least he got close for a moment there.
When I went to this meeting that you've already asked me about, I was not wearing a t-shirt. I was wearing a long sleeve shirt with the sleeves rolled up. I don't know if that picture is me. It could well be. It looks like me. I don't know who that baby is. I have no idea what that picture is.
That's definitely not the baby of Miss Hunter?
I have no idea who that baby is. I honestly have no idea. I mean, do you know how many pictures have been taken of me holding children in the last 3 years? I mean, it happens all the time.
Are you saying that you don't remember holding that child of Miss Hunter?
I'm saying, you asked me about this photograph. I don't know anything about that photograph. I don't know who that baby is. I don't know if the picture has been altered, manufactured. It's a picture that was taken of me some other time holding another baby. I have no idea. I was not at this meeting holding a child.
Edwards denying the photo now making the rounds shows him holding the baby he knows to be his and Hunter's daughter is such an uphill climb as to be comical, so you might be wondering why he's even bothering at this point. After all, he already lost his bid for—
Yeah, he lost everything. What the fuck is the point? Why? What is he preserving? Like, does he have to do it? Also, I already ran the ad, so I don't know why you guys keep saying, like, top of the hour ad break. Like, some of you motherfuckers don't even see the ad break. So it's kind of funny that, like, you try to lock me into it in the chat. Cute. Okay, I'm the ad break master, baby.
For the Democratic nomination months ago. Here's where Edwards' delusional estimation of himself and his position reaches all new levels. According to multiple sources close to him, at the time he gave this interview, he was lobbying behind the scenes for the role of Attorney General in the cabinet of Barack Obama, who was heavily favored to win the presidency come November. The man you're looking at right now genuinely believes that after having just been revealed to have lied about cheating on his wife for well over a year, he can sell himself to the incoming administration as the top pick for one of the most important positions in the White House if he can just land the idea that his adultery only took place while his wife's cancer was in remission and that the child his mistress gave birth to is not his.
There are reports that there was money paid to try to cover up this affair. Was there?
Can I just say everything you're saying? There are reports, there are allegations. These are all things in supermarket tabloids, which make the most outrageous allegations every week.
While Edwards is right that the National Enquirer is widely regarded as a rag and regularly publishes baseless gossip with abandon, even before this story they were known to get some scandals right, and it's impossible to not notice how rich it is that Edwards is still using the supermarket tabloid line of attack.
You guys don't understand. If this guy was the Attorney General, I mean, who knows? Who knows what kind of prosecutions would have occurred on Wall Street? I mean,
To combat accusations of monetary transfers and his paternity, directly after admitting that same supermarket tabloid was right about the existence of his affair all the time he's been denying it.
So let's just start with where the source of this information comes. And this is what I can tell you. I've never paid a dime of money to any of the people that are involved. I've never asked anybody to pay a dime of money, never been told that any money's been paid. Nothing has been done at my request. So if the allegation is that somehow I participated in the payment of money, that is a lie, an absolute lie, which is typical in these kind of publications.
I do need to tell you, though, through ABC investigation, there has been evidence, or we've been told that there about $15,000 a month have been paid to Miss Hunter so that she could actually live out in California. In fact, that money was from Fred Barron, who was your national finance chair. Is that correct?
I don't know. I know. I
Hey,
can't.
oh, that's my attorney general, dog. I'm going to jail, dude.
I told you just a moment ago. I know absolutely nothing about this.
You never even heard about that before?
I've heard about it from reporters like you just in the last few days. It's the first time I knew anything about it.
Because there's also the information that Ms. Hunter has lived in a $3 million mansion in California with help from that money.
I mean, I can answer this 100 times the same way. I had nothing to do with any money being paid and had no knowledge of any money being paid. And it wasn't being, if something was being paid, it wasn't being paid on my behalf.
And Andrew Young has declared publicly that he is the father of the baby, of Ms. Hunter.
I'm aware of that.
Do you think that's true?
I don't know.
You were running for president of the United States.
Yes.
But at that time, you were living in a lie. You could have been the Democratic nominee. What were you thinking?
What I was thinking was this was something that was personal.
Man, I was horny. I was horned up. You don't understand. I said to myself, I need a drip of coochie, sir.
To my own family. My family knew everything about it, everything. And on top of that, if you look back, Bob, I mean, I've seen people like, for example,
Well, politicians are demons. Politicians are no more demon than other humans. Humans are complete monsters. How dare you sit in your ivory tower and cast judgments? Close sex marriages are boring. Look at that guy. Whoa. Bro, this is literally like Tom from Chapo character. Like, this is like a Tom from Chapo character writing this. Close sex marriages are boring. Also, look at that guy. He's fucking hot. No one blames JFK for getting that Marilyn Monroe pussy. No one says Dr. Seuss is a bad guy for cheating on his dying wife. Nah, that's pretty fucked up, dude. Yo, like, that's... No, he is a bad guy, I think. This guy is, like, lost his shit. The moment I said politicians are demons... Oh, this is a fucking sock account. Never mind. I don't know why I'm talking to it. He's baiting. His name is Pushed Left. A sock account is when you create a fake account just to, like, say dumb shit. Created June 16th. You know what? I'm just going to ban him just for safety. There you go. Don't come in here with your sock account.
John McCain talk about the mistakes that he's made in his past with respect to his first marriage, and left it, I think, basically at that. I mean, I'm not the first person to do this, but I don't want to talk about that. That's about somebody else. This is a
what? Wild take. I'm not the first person to cheat on his wife with cancer, stage 4 cancer. I mean, he's right.
About me. This is, let me say this, and I want to say it absolutely clearly. I was wrong, and I am responsible.
And your wife, Elizabeth, has also been damaged in this. Why is she not here with us to speak? Why do we just have you alone?
Can you please cut the high range audio? That ringing in this clip is killing me. Sorry, I guess you gotta die then.
Well, let me say first, she's here. She's right here. I can promise you that, as she is all the time.
Sorry.
I have seen these public figures when they are saying they did something wrong or confessing some wrong, and they bring their wife to stand beside them, I guess, to show support. And Elizabeth didn't do anything wrong.
Earthquake. Major earthquake. That was a little baby one. Did you guys see that? What the fuck? Yeah. Yeah, that was a crazy earthquake. I mean, it was a little baby one. I think it's just probably the first one, right? Dude, that was wild. Okay, maybe it wasn't major, but like that shit fucking slid like, yeah, like the desk slid under me. It was wild. Wait, send me a clip.
And the wife, they bring their wife to stand beside them, I guess, to show support. And
wait,
Elizabeth didn't do anything wrong. I guess to show support, and Elizabeth didn't do anything wrong.
Don't watch clips, go outside. Oh my god, what the fuck am I gonna do? No, it's not that bad. We're in fucking LA, dude. You kidding me? I think it was because I was like literally on my desk. What up, Carter, for the 20 months? Wait. I think it's gonna... Is this starting again? I wonder where it happened. Like, where was it, boys? Because, oh, that's why, dude. It was in fucking Redondo Beach. It's like literally right under me. That's why I fucking felt it. Like, it's literally Santa Monica. Don't dox? No, that's not a dox, dumbasses. But it's so close enough in proximity that, like, it's literally basically right under us. So even if it was a fucking 2.8, which is a tiny magnitude, but this is, I think... Wait, what the fuck? Actually, maybe not. Is it? Oh, yeah, it's a 2.8, which is a tiny, teeny, tiny magnitude. Especially for LA. Like, especially for California. Having it be... Oh, it's 3.4 in El Segundo? Oh. Well, regardless, it's like very close. Like it's close enough. It was a 3.4. Oh, okay. And it's in El Segundo. That's why it was that's why I felt it like hardcore. That was cool. I mean, not really. Fucking earthquakes are terrifying, but I guess not really when you're in fucking LA where it's just the regular part of your life, but all right, let's get back to Narcissists.
I not only didn't ask her to be here, I asked her not to be here. I have to be the man and take responsibility. And I don't need somebody, I don't need a shield. I know how widely admired Elizabeth is. I'm fully aware of that. But she should not be involved in protecting me from whatever the consequences of this are. This, I needed to do alone without Elizabeth, because she is in no way responsible for this.
Tell me you didn't grow up in Cali without telling me you didn't grow up in Cali. Oh, that's really funny that you say that, because I survived one of the most damaging fucking earthquakes like in history. So in Istanbul. So that's really interesting that you have such a fucking asinine California take, dumbass. I watched an entire city that I grew up in fucking reduced to rubble. So you're literally wrong. It's not a California-centric thing. I had to sleep in the back of my fucking mom's pickup truck for I think it was like a week on end because we were terrified. Yeah, in 1999. For those of you who don't know, It killed 17,000 people and left more than 250,000 people homeless. And the magnitude was 7.6. For 37 seconds. Yeah. Anyway. It's all good. I mean, it's not the end of the world. First time I came back to California is when I like realized that like earthquakes are something that you just like, you know, live through.
This stage in the scandal, Elizabeth Edwards did in fact stand by her husband, issuing a statement in which she said she was proud of him for being honest in the face of shame, and reiterated the denial that he was the father of Hunter's child. But in the months that followed, the extent of John Edwards' lies grew more and more apparent, and the spectacle of it all began to get truly out of control. Friends of Riel Hunter.
By the way, part of the reason why there was such a gigantic death toll is because Istanbul was just like simply, and Izmit was not built for earthquakes. It was dog shit contractors doing dog shit building, and the same cannot. I don't think the same could be said for California. So it's like it's different. That was the reason why I was like, yeah, when you're outside of America, if you don't live in like fucking Japan or some shit, if you live outside of like a developed nation, earthquakes are entirely different because it devastates your whole way of living. Like it devastates entire regions, devastates everything. It's so much it's so much more damaging.
Began popping up in the news disputing Edwards' account, and even without them, Edwards' slipperiness was so apparent on its face that very few in the media or public were taking the latest version of the affair seriously, and he had problems beyond his public image and career prospects. Soon, he was in legal trouble as well. There's nothing criminal about transferring money to a mistress to keep her quiet and hidden, so long as it's your money. If you acquire those funds through false pretenses, however, in the guise of campaign contributions for instance, then you could be in pretty dicey territory, and Edwards had put himself in somewhat of a grey area. He hadn't directly gone into campaign funds to conceal his affair. He had, however, taken significant gifts from wealthy supporters, most notably 97-year-old heiress Bunny Mellon, that amounted to nearly $1 million, and used that money for Hunter's accommodation and expenses without their knowledge. The FBI began an investigation shortly after Edwards' Nightline interview, and he was indicted 3 years later on charges of conspiracy, illegal campaign...
I love when motherfuckers in the chat just like see people doing like dog shit things and go, oh, he's just a Gemini, dude. This is such Gemini behavior. Yeah, dude, I know. I was gonna go with Scorpio, but...
contributions and false statements. During the time in between the interview and his trial, what little remained of his ability to control the story completely disintegrated. He eventually admitted to being Quinn's father on January 21st of 2010, a little over a month before her second birthday. He and Elizabeth separated pending divorce shortly thereafter. Not long after that, Riel Hunter began making appearances in the media, including an interview with GQ, which included a photo shoot, which some would criticize as being less than tasteful.
What the fuck?
In that interview, Hunter presented herself as a woman with a Zen mindset who was ready to...
Bro, I'm sorry, but like, as a fucking fully developed adult, okay, you don't get to have it both ways. Like you're not a victim here, okay? I'm sorry. You knew what the fuck was going on. You knew that this dude was like literally married and his wife had cancer, and you fucked him. And like, you don't get to do like, I'm a fucking hero photo shoots for GQ. Like, you're a fucking asshole. That's such a misogynistic thing to say. Wait, really? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't fucking realize that, like, women had no accountability whatsoever with respect to, like, the actions that they take. And in circumstances, it's just literally, like, it's just always the fucking guy's fault. The guy cheated, she didn't. But she knew the fucking wife had cancer. What the fuck? And she kept fucking him. That's crazy. If on the other hand, she said like, well, the power dynamic, there's a power imbalance there. Like, I got a job, you know, I'm young and I'm thinking that like, you know, my career is going to go places. And then he has an advance on me. Then that's that's an entirely separate subject. But if you're like, yeah, no, I'm a full-blown adult and I just wanted to fuck this dude and it was tight. You know, you're still kind of a dick, dude. Women have zero ability to not consent to sex, according to chat, apparently. I mean, it's like wild, dude. Like, he is absolutely a piece of shit. I mean, he's much, much worse than her actions here, but like, normalize calling women assholes? I mean, seriously, is that the parallel they draw between Clinton and Lewinsky? Dude, how can you say that about Monica Lewinsky, dude? Are you fucking insane? One is the goddamn president fucking an intern, dog. How is that the same, dude? Are you guys fucking nuts? Bro, she was like 20 years old in the White House. Like, as an intern, dude. Dude, I can't tell if this is bait or like some people legitimately just assume that like women have no agency in any circumstance. It's so weird.
To move forward with her life, while at the same time not appearing reluctant to continue to twist the knife in the Edwards family, claiming for instance that after his Nightline interview, where he professed to love only Elizabeth, John Edwards called her and told her it didn't mean anything. Elizabeth Edwards died toward the end of that year on December 7th at the age of 61. In April of 2012, Edwards' campaign finance fraud trial began, with him pleading not guilty to all charges.
This afternoon, John Edwards, with his daughter by his side, said he will fight the charges against him and win.
There's no question that I've done wrong, and I take full responsibility for having done wrong. But I did not break the law, and I never, ever thought I was breaking the law.
But the government charges he did just that, alleging he illegally...
Nope, he did.
Solicited donations during the campaign to hide his affair with Riel Hunter and the child they share. The indictment stating that the public revelation of the affair and pregnancy would destroy his candidacy. The indictment lays out how the money was spent to keep Hunter away from the attention of the media and in the lap of luxury. There are pricey flights for Hunter on chartered jets, including one for $29,000. Payments to resorts in Florida, Colorado, and California. One hotel bill alone costing $8,000, a $58,000 bill for a rental property. In just 1 month alone, the government claims By the
way, it's a total lie. Like, when you say, I didn't know, I mean, first of all, you can't just say, oh, I didn't know as a defense, okay, when you're like very clearly violating the law. And secondly, of course he knew he was breaking the law. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like, there's a reason why he, like, kept her under the campaign for the duration, like, so that he could justify paying for all this shit.
$80,000 was spent on keeping Hunter out of the public eye. To help the cover-up, the government claims Edwards asked his campaign aide, Andrew Young, to pretend he was the father of the baby.
He also asked me to arrange for a fake paternity test.
And in the indictment, prosecutors point to...
Also, yeah, he was a fucking lawyer, dude. Like, what the fuck? I didn't know it was illegal. Lawyer running for office the second time doesn't know campaign finance violations, except he suspiciously tried to avoid them as best as he could, or like try to hide it as best as he could while skirting the campaign finance violations. Like,
Our interview with Edwards as proof that he not only lied about being the father.
A report has been published that the baby of Miss Hunter is your baby. True?
Not true. Not true.
But also about money allegedly used for the cover-up.
I've never asked anybody to pay a dime of money, never been told.
I mean, it makes sense that he was like going after a piece of the morality police in the Republican conservative audience, right? And then he did this. This is very GOP, to be honest. Like, he was doing what every Republican does.
Told that any money's been paid.
Prosecutors say the money came
The
from...
baby's in my chat right now writing stuff like, actually, Sweaty, it is super fucking zen and chill. And that, like, women have no agency in any sort of circumstance like this.
Fred Barron, Edwards' campaign finance chairman, and Bunny Mellon, a wealthy heiress. They say Fred Barron spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on this ruse, including one envelope stuffed with $1,000 in cash and a note warning, old Chinese saying, use cash, not credit cards. Now today, John Edwards' lawyer said very strongly that he is certainly not guilty. He says that money was not intended for the campaign. It was personal money coming from personal friends and therefore certainly not illegal.
Some new drama on Wednesday at the John Edwards corruption trial. The former senator's daughter actually had to leave the courtroom during testimony about her late mother. Anna Werner is at the courthouse in Greensboro, North Carolina, where several people who used to work for Edwards took the stand. Anna, good morning.
Good morning, Erica and Charlie. And it was during the testimony of one of those former campaign staffers that we saw what is one of the most dramatic moments in this trial to date. It's a moment that shows why Wednesday proved to be an emotional day for both John Edwards and his daughter.
Kate Edwards attends court each day, but left in tears yesterday, just as testimony began about an incident involving her late mother, Elizabeth Edwards. Former campaign staffer Christina Reynolds was on the stand, talking about an argument between John Edwards and his wife at a Raleigh airport in October 2007. An Inquirer article about Edwards' affair had been published the day before. Reynolds said she watched as a distraught Elizabeth Edwards stormed off and sort of collapsed down into a ball in the parking lot. Reynolds testified Elizabeth was very upset, telling John Edwards something to the effect of, "You don't see me anymore." Then, in front of others, she took off her shirt and her bra. Hearing that testimony, John Edwards looked down and appeared emotional, and at the end of the day left court with his daughter. Legal expert Kieran Shanahan was in the courtroom.
Today they try to redirect the focus onto John Edwards and his behavior. Unfortunately, I think the behavior that they focused on had very little to do with the actual charges that he faces.
We have breaking news right now, a verdict in the John Edwards trial. Former presidential candidate facing 6 counts of campaign fraud, up to 30 years in prison, but he has been found not guilty on one charge, a hung jury, a deadlock jury, a mistrial on the other 5 charges. He will not be going to jail. This was all in connection with whether he took money from friends and associates to cover up his affair with Mistress Riel Hunter. The jury has decided not guilty on one of those counts, did not reach a decision on the others. Let me bring in Dan Abrams, our legal analyst right here. He's not going to prison. They basically decided, at least on this one count, that this was a gift, not an illegal campaign contribution.
Or that the prosecution hadn't proved its case. This is great news for John Edwards. John Edwards has got to be thrilled. People may hear hung jury. Could this mean a retrial? Yeah, it might, it could. But the bottom line is 1 not guilty count and 5 hung is a huge win for John Edwards.
I wanted to say first, thank.
For the record, like, this shit does not fucking sink Republican campaigns, okay? Like, this will fuck you up if you're a Democrat. It's not gonna fuck you up if you're a Republican. Especially in the post-Trump world that we live in, like, no shot. You're like, yeah, I fucked. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Of course I'm gonna move on her like a bitch. You mean to tell me you're not gonna get gorilla grip? Believe me. He's a Dem though, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't sink Republicans. It wouldn't have sank Republicans back then. It doesn't sink Republicans in general. And certainly it not post Donald Trump. I'm gonna come.
Thank you for the jurors and their incredibly hard work and their diligence.
I mean, Matt Gaetz is a great example of someone who is not even seen any consequences and is still rolling through and probably will literally, if he doesn't go to jail, like he might become a president one day, okay?
They took their job very, very seriously, as we saw both during the trial, the attention they paid to the evidence during the trial, the presentations of the lawyers, and the fact that they've now spent almost 9 full days deliberating. The second thing I want to say just a word about is responsibility. And this is about me. I want to make sure that everyone hears from me and from my voice that while I do not believe I did anything illegal or ever thought I was doing anything illegal, I did an awful, awful lot that was wrong. And there is no one else responsible for my sins. Next thing I want to say a word about are the people that I love, because it's been an incredible experience for me to watch my parents. My dad just turned 80, my mom who's 78, tromp up here from Robbins, North Carolina every day to be with me and to support me. Kate, who most all of you have seen, has been here every single day. She has been here no matter what, no matter how awful and painful a lot of the evidence was for her. Evidence about her dad, evidence about her mom, who she loves so, so dearly, but she never once flinched. She said, Dad, I love you, I'll be there for you, no matter what. Emma, who turned 14 recently, Emma Claire and Jack.
Dude, moms are the best, dude. Look at that. She's just like smiling through it all, you know? She's like, yeah, this is great. Dad is like fucking devastated.
Who just turned 12, who I take care of every day. And I've not been able to see them quite as much, but I see them in the morning. I get their breakfast ready, get them off to school, and then we get home at night and we all eat supper together. And I love them both so dearly. And then finally, my precious Quinn. Who I love more than any of you could ever imagine. And I am so close to and so, so grateful for. So grateful for Quinn. I'm grateful for all my children, including my son Wade, who we lost years ago.
When a public figure who's committed so many loathsome deeds gets off in a case like this, it's easy to feel like they've avoided their just desserts. But in fairness, Edwards wasn't on trial for those sins, just as he said, and the legal case against him was flimsy from the outset. Besides, the main victims of his recklessness were his family, so in the grand scheme of things, it probably is for the best that his children with Elizabeth were not punished further by seeing their only living parent go to prison, and Quinn wasn't denied more time with a father that had finally got around to acknowledging her. In the wake of a public scandal so humiliating and hurtful for all the people unfortunate enough to be thrust into it against their will, all any decent person can hope for is that Edwards walking free can mark an end to the whole sordid chapter, and the innocents affected by it can move forward in life with the dignity they deserve.
I think what bothers me the most was the meanness of it all. The lack of compassion and understanding that happens when people make mistakes or people do things. Everyone judges and jumps on you so fast.
Composed and subdued, Rielle Hunter today seems a far cry from the woman at the center of a political sex scandal.
How are you doing, Quinn?
Great.
Are you concerned at all, though, by writing this book, even with the positive message that it'll bring up some of the ugly parts of your past and something you'll have to relive and talk about again.
When you make a mistake, you have to take responsibility for it, say you're sorry, forgive yourself, and then move on. You know, life happens the way it's supposed to happen. But if it was to happen again, you know, it's just like, I'm not the same person anymore.
Yeah, you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, you absolutely do. I have. And I hope to teach Quinn that.
What have you learned from your mom, Quinn?
That it's okay to make mistakes. And
You know, like me.
not to be hard on myself.
I'm sorry.
If anyone in this whole sleazy affair
I'm so
were to be
sorry.
nominated as the person with the least amount of
Quinn, if you're in here right now, I apologize. It was just a joke. You're a wonderful human being, okay?
reasons to be hard on themselves, it would be very difficult to beat Frances Quinn. So hopefully, when she isn't being paraded in front of cameras to sell books, in between listening to her mother answer questions about the extramarital affair that led to her existence, both of her parents are indeed making sure that she fully understands her complete absence of culpability.
I have
that
no
she
idea. I have no understanding of time, so I just assume that she's like 16, 17. She might be a juicer instead.
is not the circumstance.
Oh, she's 13? Oh, she's probably watching XQC then. Never mind.
Of her conception, that she is worth every bit as much as her in-wedlock siblings, and that there's absolutely no reason that she can't succeed in living a life full of virtue and integrity just because her parents made a piss-poor go of it.
Mistake gang, rise up. This guy just shitty little JCS boo. Dude, you guys are like, are there JCS